Hello, welcome to the MyEmployees demonstration of the employee profile import template. Now you will see when you open the employee profile import template that there are two tabs at the bottom. The one is for the company details, the other one is for the employee details. You are going to utilize both of these pages. You will also need to open the website on the OFO search facility because you will need to retrieve your OFO numbers from the search facility on the website. First of all, you start with the company information. Now the company details are the details that's going to be used in all the government reports, such as the employment equity report, the skills development report, the workplace skills plan, annual training report. First is the company name, the branch name. Now you need to complete all your branch names in here. If you have 10 or 20 different branches, you need to complete all 10 or 20 branch names in here, and you have to complete each line for each branch. So if you have a branch in Cape Town, you would need to put the company name in there, the branch name, and then the rest of the information. I'm going to take you through a line of information. First is the company name, the branch name, then the required password for that organization. The account active you don't have to worry about because that is something that we include on our side. Next is the trade name for the organization as well as the registered name. Now that registration number and registered name is directly from Cipro or their new name, which is unpronounceable. Next is your SDL number. Now this number you will get on your EMP201. That's your PAYE form from SARS, the one that you complete either electronically. Next is your employment equity number. Now this number is allocated to you by the Department of Labor. If you don't have a number, then don't worry about it, simply leave it blank. Next is your financial year and from and to, as well as the company annual payroll. Now that payroll amount has to be submitted to the Department of Labor, so you need to put it in there. Next is your annual turnover. We use that number to generate or classify the organization for your BEE status, whether you are a QSE, a generic, or whatever the case may be. Next is your main business activity, simply selected from the list. Your business sector, do you fall into any of these? Simply select and click. And then the industry that you fall into. Next, you need to supply your SETA number. Now if you're unsure, please check the name of your SETA and go to the SETA's website to verify what number they are. Now you can select here from a list of SETAs. All the SETAs are listed in there. Next is a chamber name. Now the chamber is where you are allocated in the SETA. This information you can get directly from the SETA itself. If you're really unsure, I'll give you some information later where you can get that information from. Next is your SETA SIC code. Now the SIC code is on the EMP201. You will see that there's a SETA SIC code, and that's the SETA SIC code that we want in there. Your annual training budget, you should have something set aside for training of employees, and then the company telephone number, fax number, and email address. Very simple information. One thing that you should bear in mind is that the company information needs to be allocated to each branch right in the front. Otherwise it's going to be a problem when you start generating your employment equity reports, that they are going to look for this information. Next, you would need to supply the CEO and HR person detail. The reason is that the CEO information is required on the employment equity reports, and the HR information required on the workplace skills plans and annual training records. Next, we move to the employee information. Now the employee information, this information there's two ways of obtaining this. You can either export it directly from payroll information, whichever payroll system you're using. You can export the information from there into these headings. Your payroll person can usually do that for you. Alternatively, you can simply type it directly into this form if you don't have a lot of employees. First, you would need with the branch name for the person. Now, this is the branch name where this person is actually working. Next is the employee's ID number or passport number and his date of birth. Please ensure that the format of the date of birth is correct, otherwise the system won't be able to import it. Next, you're looking at the ID type of the person. Does he have a South African ID, a passport, a residency permit, or any other form of identification? Now, this needs to be completed per line, so it doesn't help to just try and complete everything down in columns. Otherwise, it's going to become messy and you're going to have a problem when things go awry. Next is the name and surname of the person. Now, when you look at the name and surname, it's split up. So you have to complete the name in this column and the surname in that column. And please do not use only the initials of the person. It becomes problematic when two people have the same surnames and different initials. Next is the gender of the person. Please select the gender, male, female, or transgender. Next is the race of the person and his disability. Now, according to the Employment Equity Act, the disability of a person has to be allocated by a doctor. So the person needs to bring a letter from a doctor, a registered doctor, saying what his disability is. Next is the designation. Now, the designation of a person is your internal designation, what do you call this person, or the job description. Now it gets a bit tricky and you need to look at the OFO number. This is where you need to go to the website and you need to type in the designation of a person. It will then take you through a process to find both the OFO number, the major and sub-major, the alternative title, everything that you're going to need to fill in here. And you simply select from a list and input the information as well as the OFO number. The next column, we look at the employee number. Now, this is the number that you use internally for the employee. It can be his a number that you've made up. It can be a number allocated on your payroll, but you need to put in a number in here. Next is the occupational category of the person and the occupational level. Also, you can get that information from the website. The following column looks at the person's gross annual salary. Now, this is not a monthly salary, but an annual salary. So you need to take the monthly salary and times it by 12 to get to this figure. You also need to include all bonuses as well as 13th checks into this. Next is the start date of the person, the date of employment, as well as the employee type. Now, the employee type, you have a couple here. You have employees currently employed, currently terminated. So in other words, people that you've terminated in the last 12 months. The reason why we ask that is because when you complete the employment equity form for Department of Labor, they're going to ask you how many people you've terminated in the last 12 months. And if it's already in here, then it makes your life a lot easier. Next is people unemployed but on pivotal training. That's typically your learners and learnerships. People that you next is your contract workers. So that's people that you employ purely to perform a specific function or a piece of work. Next is your temporary employed services assignees, and that's your recruitment people that you bring in to do a specific work. Now, the following three columns is your employee promotion. In other words, on what date was the employee promoted. Again, the format is very important. If you have a person that you've terminated, again, just put in the termination date, again in the same format, and also supply the reason why this person was terminated, because this is going to be used in the employment equity form. Now, if you have any problems with regards to the completion of this document, please contact a dealer or contact us on support for any assistance. Thank you very much.